Ladies and gents, and this is Every Single Warhammer 40k Faction Explained Part 2 by the channel Bricky. I reacted to Part 1 in 3 parts, I guess. In that, he talked about Imperium of Men and all the layers inside that. Common soldiers, super soldiers, super soldiers, royal guards, nuns, right? Assassins, then Inquisition, like a sort of, a special police type of thing. It's just great how it's, I guess, layered out in that sense. And the details about it, like how common soldiers are powerful because there are so many of them, right? So whenever they attack, it's just ridiculous numbers. Super soldiers are obviously badass. Space Marines, they're just badass. Super soldiers, right? Those Grey Knights, those are even more powerful, but they are somewhat psychers, also can manipulate warp and things, can fight demons. Then there are nuns who are just mentally strong. Assassins, different assassin for different type of thing. Inquisition being police, investigate stuff. They can even kill planets if they deem necessary. That's just awesome. People are saying that part 2 is going to be even better, because in this he's going to talk about all the alien factions, and alien factions are even cool. So I'm like, yeah, alright. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want me to react to any specific video, I guess comment down. I'll read all of my comments. And there is quite a few Warhammer 40k videos suggestion that you all gave me, I guess. I'm gonna get to all of that after this part 2 of Bricky. So yeah, let's watch it.
On the Warhammer races. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, we do the Imperium of Man. You can check that out in the description, and I would highly recommend you watch that to get context for this episode. If you already have, go ahead and keep on watching. So after an entire episode of nothing but humans, we can now talk about chaos, which involves humans again, but a little bit less. We also got demons and shit.
I just felt someone grab my ass.
What?
Like hard, Nick.
So, as I've mentioned many times before, we've discussed the warp, the immaterium, the hellish landscape, the purgatory dimension realm between the material realm of our existence. Now, in the warp, it's terrifying, horrible, there are demons everywhere, things are crazy, all your minds and thoughts and emotions get projected there. It is both formless and empty, it is vast and tiny, it obeys the laws of time and physics while simultaneously does absolutely nothing of the sort. It is a hodgepodge and a culmination of just unknowable, eldritch, horrifying shit. And there are 4 gods that permeate in chaos and the warp. These are the 4 major chaos gods.
Wait a minute, 4 chaos gods are inside the chaos section of the warp, isn't it? Because chaos is part of the warp, but not the entire warp, I guess. And in that, I guess chaos gods reside, if I remember correctly from the past part 1. So, so these 4 chaos gods, somewhat control the chaos section of it. But what about the other part of warp? Or it's not how it works, I guess. Chaos gods control entire warp, is that it?
And if we wish to learn about chaos, we need to learn about each and every single one of these chaos gods.
Oh, this is gonna be awesome.
First up, we have Khorne, and he is the easiest. Khorne is your classic Satan. He is all about anger, murder, fighting, blood, guts, death. You ever heard the term blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne? That's Khorne. The whole idea is that he is all about the fury and strength of battle. He doesn't care where blood comes from, so long as blood is flowing. He wants to fight and murder and carnage and slaughter and death. That is Khorne. Very simple to understand. Next up, you have Tzeentch, and Tzeentch.
Yeah, Khorne, if the deep lore that I kind of know is of Elder Scrolls, so I like to compare that to, even though I don't think it's completely comparable. But that feels like more like a Moloch Bala thing, right? I would say Meru's Dagon, but it doesn't. Meru's Dagon is it's not more of a blood death, it's more of a change and chaos, I guess. While Moloch Bal feels like more evil one, so I guess that could be similar, I don't know.
Tzeentch is the god of change. However, the god of change, it's permeates in so many different other ways. He's the most eldritch of all the demon gods. He has this weird way to always be plucking at the strings of the universe. He's always conniving and scheming.
That's
and
probably
doing his
Meru's Dagon.
to cause as much little bullshit as he can. Tzeentch is unknowable. Everything that makes sense, he will and won't do. Every future and setting and every type of destiny or fate is all foretold and also changeable. It is set in stone while also completely random. He knows what everything is going to happen and also that none of it's going to happen. You would ask Tzeentch a question. That question leads to 3 more questions, and those questions lead to the heat death of the universe, which asks 4 answers to those questions. And then he thinks to himself, what are questions even really? And are you even asking the questions, or are you simply giving paths to answers?
So he's Socrates of gods, I guess. Annoying as fuck.
And other horseshit. Tzeentch is just, I'm gonna fuck with stuff. He is yes and he is no. He is the understanding and he is complexity. He is unknowable. And that's what the God of Change is about. Very bizarre. And he likes birds a lot. I don't know why. Next up we got Papa Nurgle. Papa Nurgle, he loves you for who you are. Probably not. He will murder you just the same. But Papa Nurgle is about rot, pestilence, death, and decay. He is the end of everything. Him and Tzeentch do not like each other very much because where Tzeentch represents change and adjustment, Nurgle represents stagnation and death. He is all about miasma and pestilence and large bloat and pus and organs and people just being sick.
Dude, shut up! I get it. He's more like disease, pestilence, shit like that. Right? Decay and everything. Rotting away and everything. I get the picture. Don't give me examples.
Sedentary sloth. He is the idea that everything will rot and decay and die. Nothing is certain besides decay and death. All of us will end up the same way, and broken down through just sheer never-ending decomposition. So the joke that Nurgle always loves you is generally because of that, because we all end up the same. We all rot, and we all die and wither. That's Nurgle, and he's got a general theme of course.
What is Papa though? His name is Nurgle. What is Papa? So, Nurgle loves you. Oh yeah, easy. Yeah, because you all are going to die, then decay into nothingness.
Pestilence and different kinds of diseases and sickness and things of that nature. That's generally Nurgle. He's pretty easy to understand as well, and he chunk! Finally, we have the youngest of the Chaos Gods, and that is Slinesh, also known as the Prince of Pleasure or the God of Unspeakable Excess. Slinesh is generally referred to with sex, but it's not only sex, it's just that's a good avenue if you want to make stuff. Slinesh is just the idea of the senses of the body being cranked to not just 11, but more like 17. So we'll discuss Slinesh a little bit more when we talk about the Eldar, because they done fucked up, but it, or whatever, is mainly about just the excess of emotion.
That's she? So what was the earlier photos?
And therefore sex is generally a large part of it. However, it's mostly pain and torture. Lots of pain, torture, but sometimes sexually related or drug related. Lots of drugs. Slinesh gets off on everything. Extremes in happiness, extremes in sadness, extremes in pain and sadism and masochism. And of course that goes along with the sex part of it as well. It's generally referred to with sex because of the colors.
Yeah, I guess a god of senses, right? Happy, sad, obviously arousal, sexual arousal would be also part of that. That kind of makes sense.
Scheme, very purple, lots of exposed genitalia. A lot of their models have like exposed nipples and stuff. And that is generally the theme you go for from a physical side, but it really embodies everything. Mainly pain and also the excessive amounts of emotion. So when it comes down to it, you'll find a lot of them have things like spikes or whips or any kind of BDSM style gear because it is unspeakable excess, the Prince of Pleasure, everything in excess to the point where it is just sheer frightening. That is Slinesh in a nutshell. A little bit bizarre and a little hard to describe sometimes, but as we talk more about the Dark Eldar later in this video, you'll understand it far, far better.
So people like, oh, Slinesh, she's evil. She'll basically torture you with happiness, torture with sexual pleasure, and Slinesh will be like, what a bitches. You can't handle the thing and that's my fault.
And far more than you'd want to. Now you might be thinking, why would anyone ever want to join chaos. They all look horrifying, screwed up, and just frightening things, right? Well, the thing is that, of course, one, your mind is put into the warp and the immaterium, so you can be easily swayed by chaos demons when they get into your head, especially if you're a psyker. Sometimes regiments of the less mentally strong people, whether they be civilians or, say, low-level guardsmen or conscripts, can be easily swayed by this and become chaos cultists and stuff, and they serve their dark gods and whatever god they personally prefer.
Not willingly.
However, and this might seem strange, chaos in their own right isn't necessarily evil.
Yeah, and
see, the warp is every manifestation of emotion and being, every soul, everything of existence. This includes all the good things. All the different chaos gods have another side to their coin. Khorne might be death, murder, slaughter, slaughter, but he's also got this weird sense of survival of the fittest, trial by combat, and honor. Khorne will never lie to you.
I would fucking say that when you talked about Khorne, like he also has something like honor. Honor is also part of his, I guess, points of like he's god of also honor. I mean, yeah, it makes sense when it comes to, Elder Scrolls lore and all the Daedra and Aedra, right? I mean, Oblivion happened because of Meru's Dagon, right? Meru's Dagon isn't necessarily evil. He's just, I guess, somewhat guard of change and, I guess, chaos. I mean, it's important, right? Change is important. So it's like that. I mean, they are all gods of different things that feels to you like it's a, problem, like death and things like that. But death is also part of life. I mean, how evil is it in that sense, I guess?
Khorne will never stab you in the back. Khorne isn't about conniving and scheming. Khorne is about straight up mano-y-mano, you versus me, get in the ring, we're gonna murder each other hard right now. It may not be a good thing.
So mix of, I guess, Athena and Ares, right? Ares? Yeah, Ares. Athena and Ares. Both are, yeah.
At the end of the day, but it is that other side of the coin. Him and Tzeentch generally don't get along because Tzeentch is that conniving schemer, but he's also about the idea of hope. Where there is change for your predicament. There is change for your problem. The hope of the galaxy, the ability to bend the world to your will, the idea that your fate is not set in stone, but in reality that you control your own destiny, you can control it whenever you want, the changer of ways. That is Tzeentch. And of course, Tzeentch and Nurgle hate each other because while Nurgle does represent stagnation, death, and decay, he also represents finality and ending. The fact that you can be mentally at peace knowing that you will end and how you will end. Fear of the unknown, fear of change is not present with Nurgle.
To me, I feel like Nurgle might not be the most famous one to the people in that sense. You can be at peace when you, I guess, your end of your life or you're retired or something, right? I mean, everything stagnates, everything comes to an end. Is pretty fucking important, and that doesn't make you evil, right? That doesn't make Nurgle evil, right? Pestilence, everything. It's all part of life, but in the end, how humans perceive it, right? I mean, some of this quality, I guess Nurgle might not be the most famous one out of the four.
With Nurgle, everything will rot and die, and that provides that finality, that ability that this is over. We are all the same, and we will all end the same. We know the meaning of life. The meaning of life is to live and die and rot. And with that, it brings peace of mind.
Yeah, so Nurgle would love Khorne, right? Because, that also... represent death and, destruction, things like that. The Nurgle also pestilence, but end of things, dying. So, Khorne loves murder and shit. Nurgle loves death and end of things. It's kind of, they will like each other, I guess.
Slinesh is a lot more simple. While they are the excess of emotion, they are also the representation of emotion.
Yeah.
Slinesh embodies happiness. Slinesh embodies excitement and joy and pleasure, not only in the sense of the physical, BAM! Style of pleasure, but also everything else like food and drink and air on your cheek and sunlight, the feeling, emotion and feeling. All of that is also represented with Slinesh. So you have to
Which is pretty fucking important, right? Because let's be honest, happiness and satisfaction are the two most key important thing why people drive themselves forward. Like if you're trying to achieve something, when you achieve it, there's a feeling that you get, right? that basically push you to do more, because I like that. That's satisfaction. Happiness is damn important. You eat something that you really like, right? And then, you know, you look forward to eating that one day again because it's happiness. Happiness, satisfaction is pretty damn important. That's what she represents.
Ask, why are they always represented as super evil skulls and spikes on everything and want to murder everybody? I don't really got an answer for you on that one. My assumption is that because mentally humans may think worse thoughts even if we don't act on them, and therefore they're projected in the warp more. That one's a little bit weird. I don't know. This is me spitballing right now, but I don't know. You need a super bad guy. You already got the Imperium of Man. You need somebody to be a little bit worse than them. So you got demons. Honestly, who cares?
I guess I don't think it's for that. I guess people who portray them are also thinking about wars and battles and shit, right? Chaos gods and their chaos demons and those, you know, patriarchs that they corrupted is also on their side. So when it comes to battle and war, of course the negative side of them would come out during the war. Nobody's focusing on their, I guess, positive side. That's why everybody perceives them as spikes and things, I guess.
I want to buy like a bird magician. Look at him. So cool. So combining all this together, on the tabletop, Chaos Demons are generally very melee based. They run in, go really hard. You have lots of summoning and conjuring, tons of spells. Generally a little bit frail, but they have special saves to make them a little bit stronger. You've got giant demons and smaller demons. You got hordes of little boys and tons of big guys. Demons are as they seem. Demons. Nurgle is slow, Khorne is super scary in melee, you've got Tzeentch who are far more into psychers and spellcasting, and then Slinesh who is all melee, really fast but squishy, but in lots of hordes of tons of melee.
Wait a minute, are these demons literally embodiment of the gods? So I guess gods themselves portray them as a small demons like that to fight. Every single of this demon is literally that god? Is that how it is?
And pain damage, of course. So overall, the demons are a huge part of 40k and a massive threat to almost every single faction with the exception of a couple. However, the big part about demons is also transferred into the other 9 Primarchs we didn't talk about, which are the Chaos Space Marines.
There you go, the corrupted ones. Wait a minute, Astartes. Are Astartes the corrupted, Primarchs? Or Chaos Astartes specifically are corrupted Primarchs? Because the Astartes that I watched, does that Astartes means the any space marine or something like that? Or Astartes is specifically for the Chaos Primarchs and things like that? I don't know. Because he specifically says Chaos Astartes, not just Astartes.
So Horus and all of his boys, all of them in the Primarchs, they have all also become Chaos Boys, and they all have their own special Chaos Legions, specializing in so many different things, just like the Adeptus Astartes, the Angels of Death, the regular Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines are a whole lot different than the regular Space Marines. They have the same armor.
Adeptus Astartes is a regular Space Marine from the human side, I guess. Okay, so Astartes means Space Marine.
Training and toughness. They just specialize in different kinds of things. And also a lot of the Primarchs have ascended into greater is it greater demons? They're demon Primarchs.
Look at that shit.
Gigantic, horrifying man-demon hybrids that are pretty awesome, if I'm going to be honest. They look really cool. But them and their associated legions that they are a part of are all kind of going out there and causing a large ruckus for everyone else. Considering the raw strength and firepower of a legion of Space Marines, imagine that entire legion just converting to chaos and immediately fighting you. It's generally pretty horrifying. There's a lot of them, so I gotta write them down, but you've got the Emperor's Children with Primarch Fulgrim, loyal to Slinesh. These people, they are some messed up people. They're just sensory overload, tons of drugs, tons of torture, and I think Fulgrim is a demon Primarch right now, and oh god, I am terrified to see what that man looks like, at least on the tabletop, because Emperor's Children are not good people. You've got the Iron Warriors, which are kind of like...
So wait a minute, these Primarchs are more powerful than the Emperor's Primarch because they got corrupted by chaos, so, you know, one-on-one they are more powerful, is that it? Well, that's not how it goes. I mean, goddamn, this is something. I mean, you know, every time I see this video, I'm always bringing that up. Somebody needs to make a AAA game out of this, because imagine fighting one of these, Chaos Primarchs who looks this gigantic, monstrous creature. like a final boss or something. Every game you have this kind of final boss, which is Chaos Primarch, right? Who looks terrifying. You have to fight them with the AAA money, AAA graphics and everything. It would look so awesome.
Opposite of the Imperial Fists with Primarch Perturabo, I believe is his name. They're Chaos Undivided. They just kind of serve Chaos in a general aspect instead of choosing one of the four. But the Iron Warriors are big on the siege and fortification, and they're basically entirely against the Imperial Fists and a major rival. Perturabo, I believe, is also still alive, and I'm also very interested to see what he looks like, because Demon Primarchs are badass. You've got the Night Lords with Primarch Conrad Kurz. Conrad Kurz is dead, which is good, because he's a sick fuck. But the Night Lords are generally about terror, terrorizing people, and terrorism. They're generally about fear, and rightly so. You've got the World Eaters with Primarch Angron, still alive, also excited to see. Angron, if you think you've known an angry person, Angron is the angriest son of a bitch you will ever know. Angron removed parts of his brain that didn't make him angry, so he could be angrier. Angron. Fucker's mad. You've got the Death Guard with Primarch Mortarion. They actually...
Yeah, I'm imagining this angry Primarch and his Space Marine would be similar angry, right? Who would win between them? And you know that assassin, one of them assassin who's brainwashed by terror and nightmares and then pumped full of psychedelics and thrown there to, I guess, destroy everything in sight. Because that assassin is also fucking angry. This Chaos, for the Space Marines would also be angry. So who would win between them? Damn.
Actually have their own special codex and their own major army on the tabletop. Mortarion himself is actually one of the models, and look at him. Look at him. It's so cool looking. Of course, Nurgle based, obviously. So very slow, but very tanky. You've got the Word Bearers with Primarch Lorgar. Lorgar is, I believe, still alive.
Oh god, I'm pausing too much, but still. Imagine that if you play a AAA game and obviously this all represent Chaos Guard. So, the Space Marines and, people from Nurgle, their attack would be like, disease, pestilent, green type looking thing. There would be so many different specifications. Obviously, I would want it to be an RPG game, right? Action RPG type of thing, right? In which I guess you have different weapon, different thing does different type of thing. You attack certain people with different type of specification because Gurgles people would be more like pestilence and more disease-based damage and things like that. That would be so good, man.
I don't know what's up with him at the current moment, but the Word Bearers are generally the people who caused all the major problems in the beginning. At least I blame them for it. They're little assholes. You got the Black Legion with Primarch Horus. Get fucked, nerd. You've got the Alpha Legion with Primarch Alfarius Omegon. Chaos, I think. And then finally, you've got the Thousand Sons with Primarch Magnus the Nerd. The Thousand Sons also have their own book, just like the Death Guard. Magnus is also a tabletop model. He looks super cool, as you can tell, and they're all super heavily Psyker and kind of Egyptian themed. They look pretty neat. But overall, with all of these Chaos Space Marine factions, you can play as a lot of different ones, but the main ones that you can really work at are standard Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, as well as the Death Guard and Thousand Sons, as they are the most fleshed out, especially on the tabletop at least. See this right here? This is a really good way to describe the Chaos Space Marines. What the thick-headed fools with their broken corpse of an emperor fail to understand is that not only can they never defeat us, but they cannot hide or flee or shield themselves from the triumph of chaos.
I love that because it didn't start as some kind of an epic thing. No, it's like thick-headed fools.
They are finite and we are unbound, undivided. They must not err, or they shall fall to heresy. All who fall, join our cause. Every imperial fool who dares to open his eyes is a willing recruit. They strive merely to hold back our fury and might, and it consumes them. Thus, you can see chaos is inevitable. We lurk not only beyond their grasp and at their gates, we lurk within the darkness of their souls, on the tip of their tongues, in their tortured dreams. We are them, but freed from the shackles of ignorance. We are them, grown strong, evolved. We are them, but so much more. As hardcore as that quote is, the saddest part is they're mostly right. Chaos is basically unkillable. You could probably get rid of Space Marines, a decent amount, the Chaos Space Marines that is, but every soul that dies goes to the warp. Every Chaos soul will end up back in the warp. And depending on how hard you killed them, they will come back at
It's basically, warp is basically literally the purgatory dimension, right? People die, goes there, your thoughts and everything, I guess, manifest there. It's literally outside of the physical realm. But there is nothing outside of that, it's the warp. And chaos is part of the warp. How do you kill it? Oh shit, chaos is inevitable, right? All you can do is just hold it. The quote is so true. Damn, this is fucking heavy. But you know, this is a grim dark universe, right? Imperium of Man are not really good. But wouldn't it make more gooder than the chaos and chaos gods? But no, then again, chaos gods, like he said, represent good things too, right? They are bad and good in the same way. But you know, I don't know, man. If we see as our perspective, humans, won't we see Imperium of Man as us because we are human and alive? And as a good guys, and then chaos and all the demons and shit as the bad guys. So then this automatically makes it good guys and bad guys in a way. I know good guys are not so really good, but compared to the, you know, demons and chaos guys, wouldn't it be more good? I guess, I don't know. Because in this world, Warhammer 40k world, nobody's willingly becoming chaos subject. They have to corrupt them. So in this world, clearly people don't want anything to do with the chaos gods and their demons. So wouldn't that automatically make Imperium of Man good guys? I don't know.
Some point, every demon you banish will return at some point. Chaos is unstoppable. The warp is unending. And while maybe there is at some point some way to stop them somehow, the resources to do so, the requirements to do so, are so far beyond the reaches of man and the other races at the current moment that really it's just an unstoppable force that just keeps on coming and is just barely being slowed. Chaos is by far the biggest threat. They are without number, their legions are everywhere, and yeah, they're pretty scary.
Damn.
So, I promise, we're done with humans now. Let's talk about some Xenos.
Yeah, definitely forgot there are such thing as the Eldars and different races too. I forgot that, damn. Alright, let's watch it. I think we still have time.
So let's talk about the Eldar, or also known as the Eldari, which are a super hyper specialized and very technologically advanced race of, well, elf people. They were as well responsible for the creation of Slinesh, the newest demon god. How'd they do that? Debauchery on a world-ending scale. See, back in the day, it was just Khorne, Tzeentch, and Nurgle.
They fucking created a god?
The Eldar are very, very ancient, millions of years. These Eldar, however, have a bit of a sensory problem. You know, every kind of pain or feeling that you have is a little bit amplified compared to the normal. However, with Eldar, as their race advanced so excessively, and they became so self-reliant, and everything became so easy, there was no requirement for food production anymore, there was no shortages, everything was basically done. Everyone was so comfortable, and that comfort breeded this weird sedation, and that sedation breeded the requirement for more and more debauchery.
Debauchery!
Debauchery! Debauchery! When everything you have can be so easily acquired, you will end up down this road of pure debauchery. All of the senses the Eldar had that were so powerful, things like feeling, happiness, sadness, and just evil and good, all needed to be satisfied and satiated. And the desire to satiate these senses grew more and more with worse and worse debauchery. It started off with things like sex and drugs becoming so much more rampant because these are the first things you generally turn to when requirements for living are so easily accessible. It would get to the point that made Sander Cohen in BioShock look sane. All right, this is the kind of debauchery it led to. It was constantly satisfying and satiating these sexual and sadistic or masochistic fantasies that only elevated and elevated, and this was species-wide. People started going down darker, more depraved, and more violent paths as time went on. However, some people didn't entirely take to that. Some of the Eldar were looking at this depraved species that they had become and said, no thanks for me, dog, I'm good, and they bailed. These are the Craft World Eldar. They left on these giant continent-sized starships called Craft Worlds. They believed in learning the old ways of the Eldar and pushing away from this depravity and debauchery and going back to their main roots. And so they would segment themselves on these giant craft worlds far in the outer reaches of space. They even had this thing called the Webway. Remember what we mentioned about?
Oh, wait a second. Oh, I love this so much. The elf people, the Eldar. Millions of years old. Obviously, their civilization advanced at a level, like they had everything. So when you have everything, what do you do next, right? How do you satisfy yourself? So they went to the way of debauchery, just more and more depraved thing. Certain people of that sort, they're like, fuck that. I'm obviously not everybody's gonna go that way, right? Some people are gonna be like, okay, no, right? We are not going debauchery's way, right? So they basically fucked off, right, in mass numbers. And they basically tried to find their old ways back, what made them great. While others basically just went into this dark path so much that they fucking created an entire chaos god. I mean, I was gonna say that when he was talking about chaos gods, like why chaos gods represent certain things and why are they like that. And I was gonna say, based on lots of people's comment, that people, what they experience, what they feel, and people basically in mass number willed these gods into existence, right? I mean, all the, decay, disease, pestilence basically created that god, right? Death and destruction created that other god, it's so and so forth. So, it's not, far-fetched to think that this ancient race, who are numbering a lot because they were so advanced and probably colonized also planet, their debauchery literally created a chaos god. That is just fucking awesome. And that's why I think Emperor is also one of the chaos gods now, right? Because every Imperium of Man basically thinks that that's a god. So there could be 5 chaos gods now, 5th one being the Emperor. What would be his powers though? All of these gods represent different type of things: death, destruction, murder, sex, and all the feelings and things. What would be the Emperor's thing? I don't know.
Warp travel with the Imperium. Well, the Eldar had something way safer called a Webway. And the Eldar Webway is actually like a pocket dimension kind of thing. And in that pocket dimension, there were also more horrible, depraved groups and clans that would spend their time in there. And if you imagine the debauchery was bad already, these were debauchery X10. So all of this continued, and it bloated until Slinesh just burst forth. All that emotion, all that mental, thought processes, I suppose, all of this in such a condensed space. Don't forget, this is all being shot, all their souls as well, into the warp.
Yeah.
All this depravity right into the warp. So what happened? Boom! Slinesh was birthed and killed off 90% of the entire Eldar population. Untold trillions had their souls ripped from their bodies and their actual fleshy bodies devoured by Slinesh demons. The entirety of the Eldar race was eaten alive and their souls consumed to the Prince of Pleasure. All of them got fucked up. It was so bad that
Alright, wait a minute. So, in order to Slinesh to exist, did Slinesh took trillions of lives and their souls just to feed itself into existence? Is that what happened? Because 1,000 souls a day gets, get sacrificed for the Emperor. So it would make sense that Slinesh needed trillions of souls just to exist. I love this lore. I love the detail and the way of thinking that goes into this, like how chaos gods exist because how people feel it and think because their mind is connected to the warp and it makes sense. This is fucking awesome.
Literally ripped a warp hole into the fabric of the Materium called the Eye of Terror. That's literally this like quasi horrifying gateway portal from the Materium and the Immaterium right next to Cadia. And it is horrifying. So this Slinesh, also known as She Who Thirsts by the Eldar, slaughtered the entire population except for a couple. Those in the craft worlds were actually not affected by this as they were so far in the reaches of the galaxy. That crazy crack, that birth of Slinesh, only affected the ones in the center. So these craft world Eldar were able to escape, but Slinesh got their sights on them. Every time an Eldar will die, their soul doesn't just pass into the warp naturally. It goes straight to Slinesh, craft world or not. What about those people in the webway? Well, imagine that giant birth happening, but they were only able to just barely get a grasp onto you. Slinesh was just barely able to hold on. These people are the Dark Eldar, or also known as the Drukhari. The Eldar population right now is so massively small. It is minuscule compared to any of the other most of the other populations in the universe. The Eldar are consistently having issues trying to get their population up because as their souls are constantly being hungered by from Slinesh, they realize their entire species is doomed. And they understand it very well. Since the time of the fall, our race has been haunted by what we, in our reckless pursuit of hedonistic indulgence, gave birth to.
This is so
Though
good.
our dreams once overturned worlds and quenched suns, we are now but fitful shadows clinging to the edge of existence. All the stars in the sky cannot blot out the hateful glare of the red moon's eye. The birthing place of the great enemy pulses with all the malice of a demon that is dreaming, casting its shadow over all we have ever done and all we ever shall. Every twisted strand of fate and casting of the runes leads me to this time, to this place, and it is clear that the final battle awaits me at the ancient Crone worlds, a conflict the likes of which has not been seen since the Monkai warred amongst themselves and their corpse of a seer fell to his traitorous son. Is coming, and all my steps lead towards it, no matter that I walk other paths. I see the stars stained red with the blood of the Monkai, and though their wars do not concern me, I would gladly let them destroy one another. I know that to avoid this fight is to condemn my race to inevitable doom, and though all I see is darkness, I know that I will not flinch from my destiny.
Oh, that's depressing.
And now let's talk about cute plastic models.
Bro, I'm straight up.
Oh my god, that is so fucking depressing, but it sits perfectly in this Warhammer 40k trend so far. So they know they are doomed because they gave into their indulgence a bit too much. They screwed themselves and they know it. God, this is so good, right? I mean, how in Mass Effect there is a race like Asari, right? Who are ancient, who's wise, and who's been there for the longest. This kind of feels like that, not completely though, but like that ancient race who just went beyond anything can achieve and just fucked themselves by doing that. Created a literal god who basically killed most of them and now sucks their souls because I don't know if that's malicious by the god's perspective or God exists because of them. Of course, the god's going to suck their souls, right? I mean, I don't know. Somebody has to tell me in the comments. Did Slinesh needed all that souls just to exist? That's why Slinesh did that? Or Slinesh did that just for the fuck of it? Because, why not? Somebody needs to comment that because this is so good. Alright, people, that's it for this part, I guess. Yeah, people were right. Part 2 is just fucking awesome, right? Part 1 was just introductory to the Imperium of Man, but Part 2 is going into detail about Chaos Gods, demons, and now this, Eldars, how they were alien race and things. Next time we're going to see Craft World Eldar, the good ones, I guess, who didn't indulge into shit. Alright, people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more, I guess. Check out other reactions I did, there's a link in the description. Check out the cast, there's a playlist I created for it, Warhammer 40k. WH40k, something like that. That has all my Warhammer 40k reactions so far. So if you haven't seen them, check out the playlist. And also the first 3 part of this. If you haven't seen them, check out the playlist, I guess. Yeah, I'll see you next time.